On a freezing January day, three closest friends, Laura, Ethan, and Jack, decided to go camping to get lost in the tranquility of nature and experience a bit of adventure. As they ventured into the depths of the forest, a thick mist enveloped them, limiting their visibility. Following an ancient map, they arrived at a clearing where they unexpectedly stumbled upon a monumental temple rising mysteriously in the heart of nature. The temple seemed to invite them inside, with its eerie yet captivating presence. Upon stepping inside, the door closed behind them, locking itself spontaneously. For a moment, the friends helplessly looked around as the temple's walls displayed ancient symbols and emanated a ghostly glow. The temple had become a place for spiritual entities. Suddenly appearing shadows surrounded them, as if tracing the footsteps of dark beings. Laura, eager to leave the temple as soon as possible, found the door immovable. Ethan and Jack, strangely hypnotized, advanced towards the center of the temple. The spiritual entities inside the temple seemed to establish a mysterious connection with the minds of these three trapped individuals. The atmosphere inside the temple grew increasingly intense. The walls began to speak. Whispers of an ancient language filled the air. Laura, aiming to banish the spiritual entities and free her friends, began reciting an ancient prayer. However, as the prayer unfolded, it seemed to empower the spiritual entities even more. Suddenly, the atmosphere inside the temple changed. The walls trembled, shadows rustled, and the anger of the spiritual entities could be felt. Ethan and Jack, with vacant expressions, turned to Laura and spoke with a terrifying smile. "You won't be able to leave here anymore." The wrath of the spiritual entities within the temple shook everything around them. The symbols on the walls cracked, paintings shifted in their places. Determined, Laura gathered her inner strength and tried to break the influence of the spiritual entities with an ancient protective spell. With a burst, the mist inside the temple dispersed. As they exited, the temple remained behind in ruins. Silence dominated the forest, and the ancient temple, once inhabited by spiritual entities, now seemed abandoned. However, after leaving the temple, Laura's eyes still held the terrifying memories of that day. Ethan and Jack, though seemingly returned to their normal lives, carried traces of the spiritual entities they encountered in the temple, revealing an internal change. And after that day, the three friends struggled to forget the horrifying experience and the spiritual entities they encountered in the forest. Night fell over the depths of the forest, blending with an atmosphere of sadness and mystery as three best friends, Olivia, Dylan, and Mason, gathered around a campfire for an evening of fun. Deciding to kick things up a notch and experience mysterious moments, they opted to play a game of spin the bottle. The first round went smoothly, but when the bottle stopped in front of Olivia, the atmosphere suddenly changed. The gentle rustling of the wind in the forest accompanied the bottle as it started to spin in an unpredictable direction. Although the friends initially laughed it off, a growing tension replaced their laughter. When the bottle stopped in front of Olivia, a mysterious aura emerged, and a distant sound, an ancient song, reached their ears. As Olivia heard the song, resonating like it came from another world, the surrounding shadows seemed to come alive. Dylan and Mason, seemingly entranced, began to rhythmically accompany the song. The direction of the bottle seemed marked with ancient symbols that were incomprehensible to them. Olivia began murmuring an ancient prayer in an unknown language. Dylan and Mason, as if responding to an internal call, became part of this strange ritual. Suddenly, ghostly entities emerged from the forest, surrounding the three friends. The spiritual beings filled the atmosphere with cries of the past and melancholic whispers. The air hinted that this terrifying event was a preordained part of an ancient ritual. The spiritual entities, eager to experience a long-awaited moment, seemed to thirst for revenge. Throughout the long night filled with horrifying scenes and shadows, Olivia, Dylan, and Mason realized that these spiritual entities were pursuing an ancient vendetta. As the night came to an end, the campsite was silent once more. When the sun rose, Olivia, Dylan, and Mason found it challenging to forget the terrifying night they had experienced. However, the mysterious symbols left in the forest and the traces of ghostly entities would forever bind them to this chilling story. Since that day, the three friends had to come to terms with the realization that the doors opened during the game of spin. The bottle led them to confront a spiritual reality. After setting up their tents and completing preparations for the night, Melissa and Brian, tired from a long day, entered their respective tents with hopes of spending a peaceful night under the stars. However, as the night progressed, a mysterious atmosphere enveloped the campsite. Melissa, who had fallen into a deep sleep, was startled awake at a moment, only to realize the presence of a snake slowly slithering into her tent. Screaming in fear, she caught Brian's attention, who was sleeping in the tent next to hers. Reacting swiftly, Brian rushed to her tent. Upon opening the tent, Melissa encountered the snake, coiled around, its tongue flickering menacingly. In panic, she recoiled, pleading for Brian's assistance. Brian, entering the tent, saw the serpent that had stealthily invaded and, without hesitation, found a stick and swiftly dealt with the intruder. However, the dying cries of the snake blended with a strange echo from the depths of the forest. That night, both Melissa and Brian began to have unsettling dreams. The dying cries of the snake had imprinted haunting and terrifying images into their minds. In their dreams, other snakes initiated a wild ritual, attacking the campsite, enveloping the tents, and wreaking havoc with a ferocity that was both frightening and disturbing. The echoes of the dying snake's cries merged with their nightmares, making it almost impossible to distinguish between reality and dream. The forest seemed to be conducting a sinister experiment on the boundaries of their sanity. As dawn broke, Melissa and Brian exchanged deep glances, their friendship tested by the shared nightmares. However, the events of the night and the disturbing dreams blurred the line between reality and the surreal. The mysterious force in the heart of the forest had not only subjected the two to a night of fear, but also intertwined their experiences with nightmares. Since that day, Melissa and Brian couldn't shake off the impact of those mysterious occurrences in the forest.